Hi everyone, my name is Goradia. I want to talk with you today about how to move through the feeling of powerlessness. What you may or may not already know is that oftentimes this feeling is overlaid by a feeling of anger. And so we think that we're feeling really angry about a situation, but this anger helps give us a false sense of power so that we don't feel so helpless in a given moment. But until we feel that sense of helplessness underneath it, that anger, it's very hard to actually discharge it, very hard to release it, because it's protecting us from feeling this very vulnerable feeling underneath. And so we're carrying this feeling around without even knowing it. So I recommend that we start to feel into the feeling underlying the anger when we have more capacity. So for example, if you didn't get a lot of sleep and you haven't eaten, your last meal and you're kind of feeling off, that's one way of feeling a little bit less capacity than if you had gotten a great amount of sleep, you had a good day, maybe you exercised, you had a good meal, and then you feel like, okay, I can handle what's coming my way. So when we don't have enough capacity within a given moment, and that's the case with trauma, so we have a large amount of stimulation, very little capacity, we have to push down those helpless feelings in order to survive that moment. And so we get through the moment, and then we might have some anger overlying it because we never got to process through that sense of powerlessness. So what we can do when we have more capacity, we go back for that. We go back for that feeling. So we think about the event that seems associated with this anger, and then that anger is going to be like, how could they, and just a lot of energy, and it might even feel like heat kind of coming up to your head. But the way you find powerlessness is you try to get soft, and you kind of drop down, and then it's a feeling of like, I lost, I lost, and then you see what comes up, and it's going to be really vulnerable. It's going to feel very tender. And it might feel subtle, it might be intense, especially if it's one of the first times you're allowing yourself to feel these powerless, vulnerable sort of feelings. And then you just look for it. And it's in different places for everyone. It's in different places even for the same person with different events and memories. And you allow yourself to just feel it, embrace it, make friends with it, meaning allow it to be there. Look at it with objectivity. Don't add any sort of judgment. Don't add resistance, aversion. Don't try to get rid of it. Just watch it in an objective, neutral way as best you can, and just give it permission to be there. Because it's not your enemy, it's not bad, it's your precious feeling. It's how you feel about this situation. Nobody else made you feel that way. This is your genuine feeling, and you're allowed to feel it because you're a free person who's allowed to feel their own emotions. So give yourself the permission to feel it. Give your body the permission to show it to you. And once there's less resistance to it, it will slowly start to pass, but not because we're trying to get rid of it, but because we're trying to honor its expression, to help facilitate and allow its expression. And once it expresses, you will feel so much lighter. And the anger that was overlaying it, that was protecting you from feeling it, it will also melt because it has nothing left to protect. This is how you can release anger. Whereas a cathartic sort of release, where we keep on indulging anger, oftentimes doesn't work. Oftentimes it begets more anger. And so maybe try playing around with this. And I'd love to hear how your experience was. Feel free to share below, and I wish you well.